If my contract or note says that my rate is 7.125, it will always be 7.125. Well, you're wrong. Hey everybody, this is Rich Hanlin with Mortgage Ballers, and today we're going to get a little controversial. We're going to talk about something that maybe you've never been introduced to before, but I like to shake it up a little bit. I like to show people the mathematics behind how to reduce your effective interest rate to what we call the actual interest rate. A lot of people don't understand the difference between a contract rate or note rate and how you can legally rob your mortgage lender of interest, and by doing that, changing and or reducing your actual or effective interest rate from what you see on that contract. And people fight me all the time. They say no. And today I'm going to show you the mathematics behind it. This is something maybe some of you know, but I came across this back when I first started in the mortgage business, when I was trying to figure out how much I was effectively reducing people's interest. When you do a lot of bill consolidation loans, each bill has a different interest rate. So when you say blended, hey, that's great. That is a great way to say, what is my blended rate when I refinance and do a bill consolidation? But truthfully, when you weigh the interest and or portion of a loan, how much of it went to pay off the car at 7%? How much of it went to pay off the credit card at 28%? How much of it went to pay off the timeshare at 18%, right? And when you have to get down and dirty to find out overall, we can just throw it in a bucket and say the blended rate, but what are you really doing when you get down to the mathematics of a transaction, and how can you legally rob your mortgage lender? Well, today we're going to find out. I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to enjoy the comments because I'm sure we're going to have some people and some naysayers, but I'm going to do my best to show you the math. I would never expect you to take my word for anything, but today I'm going to get the math out for you, and I'm going to use my own scenario. So it's a real scenario. So let's have some fun with it. All right, you should be seeing this with me right now, and we're going to go through this slow, but basically I've entitled this controversially, How to Legally Rob Your Mortgage Lender and Stay Out of Prison. Whew, got to make sure we put that disclaimer in there. All right, so I'm going to tell you a cool trick to save money on your mortgage, the loan you take out to buy your house or a house, without having to change the loan itself. If you use I'll use a real example from one of my rental properties to explain this, because like many of you, in 2022, I did a DSCR loan. I thought, oh my God, my rate's 7.125%. And at the time, that was a butt-kicking rate, because it got higher than that, even from that point. We might even be starting to get back down to that range, but I'll have to check it. But at the time, I felt that was a high rate, considering I have 3.125 on my primary residence. But what were the loan details? This is what it looks like. I had a loan amount of $155,000. That's the amount I borrowed. That's the note loan amount on my note. The interest rate was 7.125%. Look, I don't need to say APR. This is my loan. This is an example. I'm not selling you anything. So I'm just going to give you an example of my transaction, but 7.125% was my interest rate. This is the rate at which I have to pay back the loan, right? Hey, makes total sense to everybody. I had a term of 30 years or 360 months. This is how long I had to pay back the loan. Most of you right now are going, and tell me what I don't know. Well, making sure we're on the same page, those three items on every note stay the same for the life of the loan. That term on there, that 360 months or 30 years, becomes very important. In order for that lender to receive every penny of interest, you must make 360 payments exactly. If you accelerate that loan in any way, shape, or form, reducing the contract term, then they will be cheated out of interest. And effectively, we can figure out what the actual interest rate based on what you did pay in interest. This is where the power starts to come into your hands. So let's get a little bit deeper into this. Hopefully now I'm starting to get your attention. All right, so start with the simplicity of this. The trick, adding extra money each month. I didn't say add thousands. I didn't say add hundreds. I didn't say add $10. This is totally up to everybody. But this is how you effectively and legally rob your lender of due interest and putting the power into your hands to effectively reduce your interest rate on that note. All right, so I said adding extra money each month. In my case, I put $100. So from the very first month of that loan, because I had a profit on my rental, even at that rate, I had a monthly profit. And I decided to take $100 of that profit and apply it back to the note. I get about $350 profit per month on that particular rental down in Warner Robins, Georgia, down by Warner Robins Air Force Base. We try and put, I love base, being close to bases, trying to go after and give quality homes to the people who serve us. That's kind of one of my things I like to do with my rental properties. But my son introduced me to that, my son Jordan. So shout out to Jordan for that because it was a great idea. But from the very first month, I added an extra $100 to my monthly payment. This extra money went directly to reducing the principal, the original loan amount, right? And here's what happened with me doing that. Now, I've only had this loan since I think I did it April of 2022 when UWM came out with their DSCR program. I wanted to do a DSCR. I wanted to compare UWM to my normal go-tos like Home Express or Fifth Street Capital, some of them, because they have that program down well. And, you know, sometimes when conventional lenders dip into those other markets, they don't do it as well, right? Their mindset is more conventional. And now they're trying to be non-QM. But nevertheless, UWM has done a great job with that. So hats off to UWM. Let's go another step here. So 2 different scenarios here, and you need to start understanding this. If I never made an extra payment of principal on this loan, I never did any acceleration. If I made all the regular payments without any extra, I would end up paying about $220,747 in interest over and above my principal in interest over 30 years. And that is what the lender hopes that I do, and they hope that you do it too. But what actually happened? Well, if I continue doing what I'm doing, I'm making $100 of extra payment each month. So by adding an extra $100 each month, are you ready for it? I cut off 47 months, almost 48 years, or almost 4 years from the loan. Makes sense. I only will pay $160,156 in interest. I will have saved $60,591 in interest. And yes, you can see I said, oh, snap. I had a little pop on me in there. Snap. I like that. I just legally paid my principal down with my money, and I robbed my lender of $60,591 in perceived interest that they hoped that they would get off my note. Many of you have conventional loans or loans that allow you to prepay. And you say, gosh, if they want the money, why would they allow you to do that? Well, let's have an honest conversation real quick. What is the percentage of people that actually ever pay one extra penny or any significant amount on their principal over the life of their loan? And the answer is actually pretty low. I think it's less than 23%. So they're playing the odds that 77% of you are going to make the payments because they keep you strapped. They keep you in debt. They keep you paying a lot for your groceries and your gas and your utilities, and they hope to God that the system can continue to get your interest. Pretty awesome, huh? It's always nice to know that the system is designed to rob you of your money. But now you're starting to understand that there's two ways to play this game. I can tell you the more you understand how the game's played, and we're going to come up with a second. I have to set the preference or the table because many of you have seen people using HELOCs in order to accelerate their payoffs even faster, even though they have higher interest rates on it. And we have this battle because mentally people say there's no way that you could ever pay off something faster at a higher rate when you have a lower rate on the existing loan. Well, I'm going to tell you, we're going to do that one too. And I think you're going to get your mind blown because it starts with understanding actual interest rate. That is the key to that. When you accelerate, that number on the note, that piece of paper, really doesn't mean a whole lot. What do I mean by that? Let's check this out. So in this case, what's the equivalent interest rate? Pay attention, as this is the powerful point of this conversation. To understand how much we actually saved, we compare it to what the interest rate would have resulted in the same interest paid if no extra payments were made. By making the extra payments, it's like we got a loan with an interest rate of 5.45% instead of 7.125. Now, some of you are like, wait a minute, what did he just say? So I showed you what would have happened if you made all payments without accelerating. And then I showed you the actual interest that you paid, saving you over $60,000. So if you want to find out the equivalent interest rate that would have resulted in only $160,000, you just go back to an amortization table. You keep your original note loan amount the same. You keep your term the same, and you start messing with that interest rate until you see that amortization table say $160,000. That's when you realize, based on the interest that the lender actually received on that note, that they hoped to get $220,000, they really only received 5.45% return on their money that they lent to you. So effectively, we have robbed the lender of the difference in interest from 7.125 to 5.450, which is about a 1.675% difference. Did you catch that? I get it. You're blowing my mind. This is the back end of mathematics. This is the part that they do not want you to figure out. People are going to fight me and say, nope, the rate always says 7.125 no matter what. You're actually correct. And if you could change the term of that loan as you accelerated it, you would be exactly right. But because you cannot change the term of your loan, what happens when you make an accelerated payment on your loan? You make a $50,000 one lump sum payment. Do they reduce your payment? No. Your payment is the same from day one until day 360. The percentage of what goes to interest and principal is what changes, but the underlying payment never changes. You've got to start understanding how these instruments are written, and they are designed and front-loaded to keep you in debt. Very little of your first payment goes to principal. It's interest until you get to about the 15th, 16th year, and you start to see that flip over at the 50% mark. They are getting their money first. You are gaining last. Why do they do that? Because the odds are you're going to refinance every 5 to 7 years if given the opportunity, because the cost of living continues to go up. You will never get to the principal paying down portions. The system is designed to their advantage. not yours. Now you're saying, Rich, you're a mortgage broker. You're in the business. You're putting people in these loans. Absolutely. And then I'm educating them how to use these tools. You notice I just said something. A mortgage to me is not a necessity. It is a tool that I use to gain real estate to my advantage, to my assets, to my portfolio. And it's a tool, just like a tool chest with a hammer and a screwdriver. I do care overall. If the rates were 22%, I'm not going to go buy a house because it's more expensive. But when you're looking at a property, for example, I'm into rental properties. If I, at the current rates, can make a profit, even if it's 50 to $100, what do I have? I have a renter making my full payment, and then I am accelerating it with part of my profits. I'm not retired. Therefore, I don't need that $100, $200, $300, $400 profit every month. Instead, I'm accelerating things to my advantage while I have the money. Interesting concept. Who are the people that actually struggle with doing this? Obviously, retired people and or first-time home buyers. Because they're so strapped on both ends of life that they can't do anything. But I would tell every first-time home buyer, just like every middle-class, hardworking American, don't be afraid to look at your budget. And when I say budget, I'm talking about your actual budget where you spend your money, not that little budget you make and you say, this is what I would hope to do. This is what I would like to do. I'm saying go take 3 months of your bank statements and break it down and see where your money's going. You'd be actually absolutely surprised at where we spend money. And the number one thing is probably going to be food and supplies. I know I'm guilty of it. Starbucks adds up. Eating out adds up. Those are huge expenses. We want it now. We want it fast. We don't want the boring meal at home. We don't want spaghetti. We want it all. And we want it now. I don't want to cook tonight. I worked all week. I get it. Been there, done that. You can find extra money. I don't care what kind of lifestyle you have. You can cheat the lenders and rob them legally out of interest and put power into yourself and to your future. If you were to start this practice on every property that you ever own over the life of your real estate exposure, from the first time you own until the day you pass away, you will save hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. I guarantee you can find something better to do with that money. All right, let's keep going. Here's a conclusion. By adding a little extra money to your mortgage payment each month, you can save a lot of money in the long run and pay off your loan faster. This strategy makes your actual interest rate much lower than the contract interest rate on your note, putting more money back into your pocket. People say, well, what do you mean? I'm not going to make more money. Yes, you will. The faster you pay down your principal, the less interest you pay over the life of the loan. Those all will come back to you. Those are yours. Whether it's built into the house at a later date, whether it's going to be the interest over the life of the loan, those are yours. They're guaranteed. Understanding the power that you hold can change your strategy in life. If you have the power to accelerate your loan, then you are 100% in control, not your lender. The interest rate is just a number. It's the total interest you pay that dictates the actual interest rate equivalent. In 7th grade talk, we're going to make this real simple. Drink less Starbucks. Use that money to consistently accelerate your mortgage payoff, saving you both in interest and in total payments. Your lender will love that you understand this concept. Not. That was a little joke I threw in the end. These are the things they don't want you to be able to do. Now think about it. If you're investing money and you yourself wanted to invest $500,000 into a first-time home buyer, And you're thinking, good, I'm going to get payments over the next 30 years, and I'm going to get 2.5 times my loan amount in interest. Man, this is a good deal. And I'm going to get all that front loaded in case I have to take that property back. Man, that's a good deal. The whole time it is backed by somebody's real estate. My God, it's the best investment on the planet. Can you understand now why they don't want you to know this? Think about that. But then again, there's only 23% of you that are really going to care about this. The other 77 are going to go to Starbucks today and say, man, they're going to be talking to their spouse tonight or their best friend. They're going to be working out at the gym, and they're going to say, hey, let's stop at Starbucks or get a smoothie because I saw this crazy thing today. This crazy broker, he swears he has 34 years in the business, and he tried to tell me how to legally rob my lender. What a crazy dude he is. Doesn't he know the system's rigged and we're just going to keep doing the same thing? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. All right, I'm going to stop sharing here. There we go. Now you have it. Now you have the down and dirty. But I had to put this video together. This one should piss you off enough for you to be inquisitive and questioning, wait a minute. I want to understand this. Rich isn't crazy. Therefore, I want to understand what he's saying. And my challenge to you is that you'll have an open mind, because the next video that I'm going to put together, and the main thing is I want to do it in a 7th grade language, because we don't need to confuse anybody. And what I mean by 7th grade language is I'm going to show you how to use a home equity loan to accelerate using the velocity of money, what we just talked about, to do it faster. People say, you go to YouTube, put in pay off your mortgage faster, and you're going to see all these things that say, man, I paid off my mortgage in 5 to 7 years using a home equity loan, using the velocity money. What do they mean by that? Using my monthly net income, not paying more, but using it smarter. By now you should be hating me or wondering what in the world I'm talking about, but I am going to blow your mind, and I'm going to accept every challenger out there that wants to challenge me on that concept. And I'm going to prove it mathematically that you can accelerate the payoff of your mortgage. And people say, well, why would you want to accelerate the payoff of your mortgage? The less debt you have, the more you can invest in your life. The more you can invest to now grow in assets. The more you can now say, you know what? This loan, my house loan, is in a great place. Let's go buy a rental property. Let's go buy a second rental property. Let's go buy a third property. Let's change our family's legacy. You see where I'm starting to go with this? People aren't going to tell you about this stuff. They talk about it, but they don't show you how. My name is Rich Hanlin. This is Mortgage Ballers. I hope that I got your mind rolling today. And until the next time, what do we say? Stay thirsty, my friends.